In this video, we're going to be covering the Get Reviews tool. We'll look at some of the different ways you can use this tool to generate reviews and how you can interpret some of the data that the report will give you. Before I do that, what I want to cover are some of the reasons why Get Reviews or review generation has become such a staple in many local SEO campaigns. It simply comes down to the fact that most customers or most people are inclined to share a negative experience more than they are a positive one, just due to human nature. Angry people tend to shout and happy people tend to just enjoy the experience. And what that means is your review score online are an unfair representation of the quality of business that you're providing your customers. Essentially, it means that review score represents a very vocal minority of your customers, whilst a silent majority, the 9 out of 10 customers, simply aren't being picked up in that review score, which leads to a skewing in a negative sense over time. Now let's take a look at a customer who is not proactively managing their reviews. Here we can see Jimmy's Plumbing. They have a score on Google of 3.7 out of 5. Now, first impressions, you might feel that 3.7 is actually not too bad. It's nearly 4, but actually it is always worth bearing in mind that reviews are a game of fine margins. Even with a score of 3.7, there's a lot of data surrounding exactly what that means in terms of lack of conversion or click-through, or actually, in a purely SEO sense, lack of visibility. You can see from the data below, 57% of customers won't use a business that has fewer than 4 stars. I think it's always useful to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's browsing for a service online. And if you look online for a plumber, for example, and you were to find 3 plumbers, 2 of them are 3.9, one of them is 4.1, will make it incredibly kind of close. Just to make a point here, how much more inclined are you to click on that 4.1 business 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10? And then if they have the same pricing, many more times are you likely to go to that 4.1? And if you think of it like this, it becomes a really powerful example of, even in the fine margins, how much reviews can make a difference when people are actively browsing for a service online. Now, with that in mind, what the tool is designed to do is to give you a way to request that your customers leave a review. Essentially, you're trying to get that silent majority of customers who've had a good experience with your business to leave a review online. Now, what you're going to do here in several different ways is to present the customer with a review request. You'll see on the screen that you'll be able to customize the content, the logo, and several other parts of this request. You're also going to be able to distribute this in several different ways, which we'll cover in just a moment. The first thing that you'll see here is the NPS score. This is known as a Net Promoter Score. And essentially, it's a way for a customer, prior to leaving any review, to indicate the kind of experience that they had. Now, you will set the point at which an experience is deemed to be either positive or negative. And depending on the score that they give, they will go through either one of 2 flows. If the customer has what's deemed to be a positive experience, they will go through the positive flow. Here, what we're going to try to do is make it as easy as possible as we can for a customer to ultimately leave that review online. You'll see they'll provide some internal feedback, some details about themselves, and then what they're going to be able to do is simply copy the content they've already provided to you and post it to a site that you specify. Here, you're able to choose all of the surrounding content, and you can choose between 1, 2, or 3 potential sites that the customer can leave that review on. You'll see on Google, it will actually take them directly to the review prompt box, so all they have to do is to copy that in really easily. Again, the name of the game here is to make it as easy as possible for a customer to leave that review on a third-party site. What you're going to see now is what happens when a customer indicates they've had a negative experience. What we look to do here is introduce an element of friction into the process and make it slightly harder for them to leave a review. You'll notice we still take that internal feedback, we still take details about them, but what you'll see in this final step, where they were previously able to very easily copy that content over, instead you will have the option to include a voucher code. You can change all of this content to be much more apologetic in nature, and if that customer wanted to leave that review anyway, they'd actually have to navigate to that third-party site and type that out themselves. What I'm going to cover now are some of the different ways that you can distribute review campaigns to customers. The first way is through an email. Here, you're actually able to send either individual or multiple emails through a CSV within the dashboard. You can, of course, use a link. This is an incredibly versatile way to distribute this particular review campaign. You can put this within emails, in email signatures, call to action buttons on a website, embed this into any auto-generated correspondence you have, even go ahead and put this on business cards or QR codes. There's a lot of different ways to deploy this link to generate reviews for your business. As well as that, you are able to use a kiosk mode. This is very good for brick and mortar, face-to-face business. Here, you can actually load that flow on an iPad, tablet, or smartphone. What's smart about this particular distribution method is it will actually wait between 1 and 2 hours before sending an email prompting the customer to leave a review. That way, we're actually able to get around Google's block on multiple reviews being generated from one IP address. Of course, you are now able to actually send text through the platform, either individually or again through a CSV. You can target customers where they spend their most time, which is on their phones. Once we've selected a distribution method and begun to send customers review requests, what we'll be able to do then is get the Get Reviews Overview dashboard. Here we're going to be able to see the average NPS score that customers are giving us, as well as the feedback funnel, which shows you how far customers are getting along the templates that you've set up for them. Are they getting that email, not opening it, clicking, are they leaving internal feedback, or are they actually going ahead and clicking to leave that third-party review? As well as this, you'll be able to see how well each of your different distribution methods are faring. Clicking into any of those will show you exactly how well that campaign is going, all of the same insight you get for the dashboard we just discussed, as well as an archive of all of the reviews that have been generated for that particular campaign.